Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Your 38th favorite dad in the family community, Papa West, Jacob West. I look a lot different. Some choices were made over the weekend. Um, and I regretted it immediately. So that's why I'm never doing that again, ever. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just open your eyes. Jesus. But that being said, this is TMG Takes the Field, where I talk about sports. Really, the only two that I watch for the most part anymore is college football and the NFL. So that's really all we're going to be talking about. I'm going to do a quick, brief run through of college football, and then not a deep dive into the NFL week 2, but we're going to talk about NFL week number 2. And I have somebody joining me for that. So I don't want to go too long. But I do want to kind of break down what the top 25 ranking is, and then a couple of matchups of college football upcoming this Saturday. So we have number one, still nothing has changed. Nothing's going to change for a while. The Georgia Bulldogs. Texas at number 2, they did bounce up one spot after they demolished Michigan. Number 3, Ohio State did drop one place just because they didn't play a good team. At number 4, we have Alabama. 5, Ole Miss. 6, Missouri. 7, Tennessee. All three of those teams bumping up just a little bit. At 8, we have Penn State staying still because they didn't lose. They got close, but they didn't lose. Oregon did drop 2 seeds. They are number 9. Miami is at 10. USC is at 11. Utah at 12. Oklahoma State at 13. Kansas State at 14. OU at 15. LSU at 16. Michigan dropped down to 17. Notre Dame dropped even further. They're at number 18. Louisville's 19. Arizona's 20. Iowa State, one of the first unranked teams to bump up to a ranked position. They are at number 21. Clemson's at 22. Nebraska, Boston College, and Northern Illinois are ranked our last 3 to be ranked. Obviously, some teams had some really big wins. Boston College had that huge win over Florida State Monday night. Northern Illinois had that huge win over Notre Dame to get themselves ranked. Nebraska beating Colorado and Iowa State beating Iowa. So a lot of really fun matchups last week. I'm going to kind of go over really quick matchups that we're going to see this week, mainly in our top ranked teams. So we do have this Friday, we have Arizona at Kansas State. 2 Big 12 soon to be rivals. This is the first time they're playing each other as Big 12 members. Arizona, this is their first year there after being part of the Pac 12. Alabama is going up to Wisconsin. Oklahoma State's taking on Tulsa. LSU's taking on South Carolina. Arkansas State is looking to take on a defeated Michigan team. Boston College is taking on Missouri. Oregon's is doing Civil War, taking on Oregon State. Miami is taking on Ball State. Oklahoma's taking on Tulane. Notre Dame's looking to bounce back against Purdue. Utah is playing Utah State. Ole Miss versus Wake Forest. Texas versus University of Texas and San Antonio, the Roadrunners. Georgia's taking on Kentucky. Nebraska's taking on Northern Iowa. And Tennessee is taking on Kent State. So we do have a couple different matchups involving 2 ranked teams. So it's definitely going to be as exciting. And we're kind of starting to get in that conference play. Like I said, Arizona, Kansas State, is they're playing each other for the first time in Big 12 play. We do have like LSU, South Carolina, and the SEC. I was about to say Oregon State. They're not in the same conference anymore. Georgia and Kentucky opening up SEC play as well. So we're starting to get into the actual meat and potatoes of the college football season. A lot of teams have had their easy games, and now they're starting to get to the actual season, where there's still some teams like Nebraska and Tennessee and Texas playing some unranked teams that they should have no issues against. I was very high on Quinn Ewers last year to be the Heisman winner. That's not changing. So I will say he has been lights out these last 2 weeks, especially last week against Michigan. He looked pretty darn good. So watch out for him. Also, Carson Beck is in that conversation for Heisman. At the beginning of the year, a lot of people were talking about Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. I think they have fallen a little bit after these last 2 weeks, but we will definitely probably be talking about them a little bit later in the season. And we'll kind of give just brief talks about who we think is going to be winning the Heisman, how everyone's doing. Again, our two front runners right now is Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers, both quarterbacks. Quinn, obviously, in Texas, and then Carson at Georgia. So, again, just a couple of minutes talking about NCAA football. Now we're going to get to the NFL. And like I said, I do have a guest joining us today. I feel safe to say joining us every week for TMG Takes the Field. Tato, how's it going?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for sharing this show with me. It sounds like an absolute delight. We both did pretty solid last week. You slightly more than me, and we'll see if I can get a couple games back on you this week.
Yeah, no, we both again did very well. We had very similar picks. 1, 2, 3, 4 differences out of 16 games. I will say there was 2 that we went the same on and got wrong. We had the Bengals beating the Patriots, like most of America, and then the Falcons beating the Steelers, again, like most of America. But we just had those slight differences, and I definitely capitalized on those. I finished the week at 13-3, Tato at 11-5, and Tato, I feel safe to go ahead and say it. We're going to be doing a competition throughout the year. We're going to see who has the best record as far as predictions go. So I will be kind of keeping track of everything, and then prize at the end. Prize at the end.
Prize at the end.
Well, I mean, let's be honest here. Both the winner and the loser will have a prize at the end. So it's mainly bragging rights.
Absolutely.
Yes. But yeah, no, I will say for the most part, it was a pretty exciting week 1. We definitely had some pretty good matchups. We had a couple that it was like, I don't have to watch. I can just follow the score at the ticker on the bottom and then check the highlights Sunday night. But again, we had the season opening with the Ravens traveling to Kansas City in a game of inches. They were toe close. The Ravens were, but unable to seal. The Chiefs ended up winning 27-20. I picked the Chiefs. Tato picked the Ravens. So this was game 1 of me taking it. I will say right now, I'm a little scared of my AFC West predictions just because the biggest thing with the Chiefs last year is they had no receivers. And that changed this year. I'm not gonna. I thought Rashee Rice was gonna be suspended for a little bit. Apparently, no. He's playing great. Xavier Worthy, 1 catch turned into a touchdown immediately, and just so dynamic. And like the crazy thing is Mahomes did so good throwing the ball. He only threw it to Kelsey 3 times.
Yeah, not a very Mr. Swift heavy game.
I didn't see Taylor at all. It was.
They showed Taylor twice.
They definitely showed her a couple times.
Yeah, I was keeping a counter. There was at least 2, maybe 3.
Yeah. But any other thoughts of that game?
I mean, yeah, as you mentioned, I'm literally this close from being tied with you in the standings. Yeah. Maybe, obviously, they might not have gotten the 2. Who knows what would have happened? But it's more fun to say I'm this close, isn't it?
That's true. I do want to say the moxie of John Harbaugh. The second the touchdown scored, we're not going to tie. We're going for 2, and we're going for the
machine,
win,
man.
Yeah, definitely enjoyed the moxie. Unfortunately, Isaiah Likely unable to keep both feet in bounds. As we move on to Friday night's game,
go ahead.
Train. As we move on to Friday, the Sao Paulo game. The Eagles played the Packers. Eagles were victorious 34-29. We both picked the Eagles to win. Oh, hey, we have someone in the chat. Alec Miller, what's up, Papa and Tato? And then Secret Tunnel. And Texas is back, baby. Texas never left, baby. But no, the Eagles played the Packers. The Eagles are my team. Obviously, if you know anything about me, you know I'm an Eagles fan. I will go ahead and say it right now. I really liked what I saw. There were definitely we started off really slow. Those 2 turnovers on our first 2 drives definitely hurt. I will say Hurts is of the last 2 years, he was definitely looking like last year as opposed to 2 years ago, which isn't as good. Definitely trying to force stuff he doesn't have to force. But I will say this team did not play in the preseason. Most of our starters did sit on the bench. So it is going to take a little bit of time for them to kind of get together a little more. I was hoping the Cam Jurgens move would be a little bit smoother, but it was not the case. But again, here in a couple of weeks, I definitely see that being where it should be. But oh my goodness, the offseason additions were dynamic. Saquon Barkley. Oh my goodness. We were expecting him to be good, but I don't think any of us were expecting him to be that good. 2 touchdowns running, 1 touchdown receiving. AJ Brown had another amazing 60-yard reception. And then I will say too, outside of 2 or 3 plays, I think our defense was phenomenal. One thing I talked about was I was really looking forward to the rush, and that's exactly what we did. Jordan Love was running for his life for a good portion of that game, and I said he was going to spend most of the game on the ground. It was Malik Willis who spent most of the game on the ground, but still, a quarterback got hit a lot. And one thing I will say too, our secondary was definitely super sus last year. I'm not going to say they're dynamic like they should be, but they definitely improved. And oh my goodness, Quinyon Mitchell, what a steal at pick number 22. Um, Everything I heard in training camp, him just trash talking AJ Brown, brought a smile to my face. And then watching him, I mean, just getting in there, deflected 3 or 4 passes. I'm looking forward to his career. Potato, any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, it was an awesome game. As predicted, I'm glad the Eagles got the W, obviously. Never want to see anyone hurt in the realm of reality, but I can't be too upset about what it might mean for the NFC North standings in the grand scheme of things. We'll see how that one shakes out, but yeah, get well soon, Jordan Love, for real. We will, yeah, good. Yeah, like you said, a solid game. I thought the Eagles played really well. Saquon, obviously fantastic. Giants fans, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Giants, for that. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the Sunday games. So the first game we had was the Cardinals traveling to Buffalo. The Bills won 34-28. Tatum, I'm not going to lie. Most of the 1 o'clock games I was not able to watch. But what I will say, Josh Allen threw for 232 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jared Cook ran for 71 yards. I definitely liked most of that offense. The little bit that I watched, I will say that their offensive line is pretty sketch, and then that defense just needs to do a little bit better if they're going to finish the way we both see them finishing. But then also the Cardinals, like they put up a lot more of a fight than I think most people were expecting. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I didn't really see anything. I did see basically just a box score. And Jay wanted to get cute and start Goff over Josh Allen, and I told him, no, don't do that. The Cardinals' defense is ass. Yeah, yep.
Not wrong there. Next, we're going to move to the game one of the games we both lost. The Patriots traveled to Cincinnati and were victorious 16-10. Ramondre Stevenson ran for 120 yards and a touchdown. And really, that's the biggest highlight, other than a bunch of field goals. Both starting running backs scored a touchdown, but really, this was two really tough to watch offenses. We knew that was going to be the case for New England. We didn't realize that was going to be the case for Cincinnati. But one thing I will say is over the past like 4 or 5 years, this has been the Cincinnati Bengals. We're going to be tough to watch for the first 3 games, and then we're going to kind of get together and start playing at an elite level. So hopefully we get that with these Bengals this year, especially if my predictions turn out the way that they should be. Any other thoughts, Tato?
Yeah, definitely a shocker, obviously. But that's the NFL. It's an any given Sunday league, and that's the beautiful thing about it. Everyone in the world picked the Bengals here. Just no one gives the the Patriots have about it. How many wins did you give them? 1, 2? Did they already?
Two,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah, they're already halfway there for you.
They're halfway there.
Living on a prayer.
Yes.
Shout out to the Patriots. But you know what? No, F the Patriots. They don't deserve wins. They've had enough winning. They shouldn't get to start their crap season with a W.
Yeah. I will say congratulations, Gerard Mayo, on starting your career off coaching a win. But Tater, do you remember one of the other teams that I predicted would only win like just 2 or 3 games? There were actually a bunch, but one of them was the Minnesota Vikings, and they took on the New York Giants in New York. This was one that we were different on. I went with the Vikings. You went on the Giants. And I came up victorious along with the Vikings. The Vikings won 28-6. One thing I also said is this would be like the game that everyone's like, oh my goodness, Sam Darnold's amazing.
MVP week 3, baby.
208 yards, 2 touchdowns. Did throw an interception because he's trash. Let's be honest, guys. Overreaction Monday is Sam Darnold's an MVP. That's not going to happen, guys. But Aaron Jones, I said was going to rush for like 4 million yards. He only rushed for 94 and a touchdown. But still, one big thing is that defense held strong. Andrew Van Ginkel, I don't know who you are, but you had a 10-yard interception return. And then my prediction for defensive player of the year, Dallas Turner. I don't know what Dallas Turner did. I don't think he did anything, actually.
Remember when we were talking about Miami's defense and how they lost pieces? Andrew Van Ginkel, one of those.
Okay, nice. Dallas Turner, 3 tackles, 1 sack. On his way to Defensive Rookie of the Year. And then, obviously, Daniel Jones is trash, threw for 186 yards and 2 interceptions. Their only scores were field goals for the Giants. But Tato, any other thoughts going into this?
Yep, a couple of trash teams, but I totally negated the when I made the pick, I did sleep on the Sam Darnold for 3 weeks for the first 3 weeks of the year. It was amazing. So enjoy.
And I don't think that the Vikings are a trash team. I just think they had all these. They were the Jets last year. They had all these hopes on their quarterback, and their quarterback's not playing. Obviously, JJ McCarthy.
I didn't think JJ was going to be him anyway. That was my assessment.
I didn't either. Nothing at his time at Michigan made me think he was going to be elite, but apparently the Vikings did. And yeah, just him going out at the beginning of the year definitely hurt him quite a bit. And so it's not that they're a trash team. Yeah, they're kind of a trash team. Talking about another trash team, the Tennessee Titans travel to Chicago. The Bears victorious 24-17. I'm not going to say anything about this game because Tato, I'm gonna give it all to you.
Alrighty, yeah, I will let this game cook. I didn't get to see the game. I work on Sundays, so I did. I got to watch bits and pieces. I did take my lunch break during the game, so I could get at least half hour of it in. And then I did go back and watch a ton of highlights, obviously, just to look at it. Not the prettiest win in the history of football wins, I gotta say. Definitely some cartoony, like some movie magic, a little movie magic on that W, I think. Which, hey, all that matters is that there's a 1 in the score column. Caleb Williams, only starting quarterback in the NFL who has never lost a game. So
Ever.
yeah, ever. Caleb Williams undisputed. Gotta love that for him. The rookie mistakes he made were perfectly acceptable rookie mistakes to make. Trying to because one of these times he's gonna wizard out of the pocket and he's gonna make a huge play on that thing that ended up being a 24-yard sack or what have you. That one of those times it's gonna go the other way, and we're all gonna be praising him for it. He's just got to learn when he cannot do that level of magic in the NFL, because there will be times when he's able to. It's just about learning the details of the game. He didn't make a ton of egregious mistakes that I saw. It's like I said, mainly basic elementary rookie mistakes that you kind of expect to see. So I'm not hitting the panic button on Caleb, definitely, especially the offensive line situation, however, is not good. I am not thrilled with the idea of Will Anderson coming across the middle this week. Shout out Alec. Alec and
My thoughts here, Brian.
We got a night game, so I do get to see this one. Alec and I have had the date planned for the whole since the schedule reveal. So Alec and I will be partying it up on this Sunday night, watching our Texans and Bears go at it.
All right.
But yeah, ugly win is still a W. I will take it, and hey, the defense looked fantastic, which is
yeah. So I do want to touch on one thing that you said. You're not hitting the panic button yet. Do you know who is hitting the panic button?
I don't know.
So there's two people hitting the panic button. The first one's the Tennessee Titans, because while Caleb did not lose them that game, Will Levis did. Will Levis 100% imploded on that team and lost his team the game. You know who else is hitting the panic button? The whole NFC North. Because if your offense can play this bad and you still win by a touchdown, that's a scary defense. And I realize that we're playing the Tennessee Titans, but I realize you do not like Colin Cowherd. I realize one of our other best friends, Jay, can't stand the man. I like him. And one thing that I'm going to quote him as he said earlier this week on his Blazing 5 bets, when he picked the Titans to cover, and I actually think he picked them to win, but he said the Titans are a burning organization, but you know who doesn't think that? The Tennessee Titans. Obviously, they picked up Calvin Ridley. They picked up L'Jarius Sneed. They picked up these good players like they're thinking they're going to do something good this year, even though they're not going to. And the fact that they were able to, Tony Pollard ran for 82 yards and a touchdown. He did very well for a running back. And the fact that the Bengals were able to get 2 touchdowns on turnover, or the Bears were able to get 2 touchdowns on turnovers, I'd be scared of that defense if I was playing them. Yeah. So the NFC
teams, but yeah.
Yeah, one of them was on special teams, but that's called your defense, buddy.
Yeah, it is.
Another game.
Devin make me miss drafting the Bears D in fantasy football for Devin Hester.
I know I have their defense on one of my leagues, and I made sure to play them, and they got 24 points. Crazy. Yes. Next game I want to move on to. The Saints destroyed the Panthers 47-10. I believe we both picked the Saints on this one. Obviously, not a lot of. Did you pick the Saints?
Yeah.
Yes, you did, sweet. Not a lot of hope for the Panthers this year. Not a lot of hope for the Saints either. But when you're playing the Panthers at home, you should beat them. One thing I will say is that, well, yes, I was expecting the Saints to win. I wasn't expecting them to win that bad. Um, Derek Carr, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. He I guess it's the opposite of Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow starts off the season bad and then finishes good. Derek Carr tends to start the season off good and end pretty bad. So I guess I should have saw it coming. I should
Yeah,
have.
it's not Christmas yet.
That's true. These games don't matter quite yet. Potato, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, and I'll add on, like, these games don't matter yet. There's a thought on Rich Eisen, I believe, or it was another Talking Head show, so if I miscredit, but they're talking about how these games are kind of like preseason games now because of the lack of people playing in the preseason. So weeks 1 and 2 are kind of becoming preseason-esque games, and you're no quarterbacks did great this week. Like, no one absolutely torched it. Even Derek Carr's 3 TDs, 300 yards, you said, or 2? What?
200.
200 yards, yeah. He had a great performance, but, like, yeah, no one had, like, a 400-yard game. So I think
it's true.
Not even just the rookie quarterback started slow. Every quarterback kind of is starting slow, and every team is starting slow kind of as a result of that. But yeah, like I said, I didn't watch too much of this game either. Just probably saw a highlight here and there.
This was one of my ticker games. This is the first year that I don't have access to NFL Red Zone at all. I'm supposed to be getting NFL Sunday tickets soon through Verizon. Verizon, step up your game. I need an NFL ticket now, and not whenever you're going to give it to me. But yeah, I've always had NFL Red Zone. When they started doing the switch over to NFL Plus Premium, I've thought about it. I just haven't pulled that trigger yet. And I was able to actually confuse my app into thinking I had access to NFL Red Zone last year. Up until week 16, I was able to watch it. And then week 16, it was like, you need to subscribe to NFL Plus Premium. And at that point, I was like, I don't care. I'm not going to buy something for 2 weeks. But that's usually like this game is great for that. But if you live in the New Orleans area and this is the game you're stuck getting, I'm sorry. But yeah, I do also want to say, talking about Rich Eisen, lawyer to Rich Eisen, we are not using his material. We are just quoting him. Unlike the Untold Michigan sign stealing documentary, we do not need permission to quote you. But if we ever try to use your video, then we will ask for permission.
Are you insinuating that Rich Eisen is litigious? What potato war is that?
I don't have to insinuate. He said it. I
love Rich Eisen. He's the best.
Best thing I've ever seen. Rich Eisen talking about the Untold documentary. I haven't seen it, but you know who has? My lawyers. Great quote right there. But let's not talk about stealing signs. Let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons. Pittsburgh traveling down to Atlanta. This game we both got wrong. We both thought Atlanta would come out with the win. Pittsburgh in a very dominant defensive performance, coming out with the 18-10 win. If you like soccer, you would probably like this game because the Steelers, there was only one touchdown. Kirk Cousins threw a 12-yard pass to Kyle Pitts. Other than that, field goals and kicking the ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 field goals.
Hey, Kyle Pitts can score touchdowns. Who knew?
I know, right? Justin Fields made the start. It was one of the funniest things to see. Even funnier than me without a beard is Russell Wilson being injured, yet still being in full pads, standing on the sideline. I don't remember exactly what injury he has. But Justin Fields made the start. He's also they're planning on having him start week number 2. I think it's a calf injury.
Remember Charlie Whitehurst?
Oh,
Clipboard
what was
Jesus.
his? Yeah, Clipboard Jesus.
Yeah. maybe that's the next phase of Russell Wilson's career.
Yeah.
He was a
He's
Seahawk.
gonna be a coach. He's gonna be a coach and just dressed in pads.
Yeah.
Do the whole mean machine, like I'm going out there. But I will say, well, Justin Fields did not do it in the air. He definitely did it on the ground, getting his team in position to kick a field goal. And again, enough to win. And I will say, TJ Watt, we both said he deserves Defensive Player of the Year this year. We both think he's going to miss out on it because the NFL is the NFL. And he showed he deserved it this week. This was the game that I watched at least most of in the early morning games. And I think I miscounted after 3 sacks, one being a strip sack to get a turnover against the Falcons to seal the win too. So Steelers, we knew that defense was going to be tough. So again, I'm not ready to say that they're going to win more than 9 games this year. I do think, again, this is going to be Tomlin's first losing season, but I do think that they're going to be at that 7 to 8 wins. Tato, any other thoughts?
Not a lot of things more to see or to say than strip sack.
Strip sack. All right. Next game, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars travel to Miami, but were unable to win, even though they paid some police officers. The Miami Dolphins won 20-17. I will say this was a very fun game to watch, at least the highlights, as this was not one I was able to watch while it was happening. But we did have I just lost his name. Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver out of Texas, I believe. This being his rookie year, he scored a touchdown for the Jags. But I will say this was probably the best performance by a quarterback in Tua turns the ball over with 338 yards. Only able to get 1 touchdown out of it to Tyreek Hill. But as far as just overall yards, I think this is the highest that we got. And then even though I love Doug Peterson making some bad play calls, I don't know if that was him making the play calls or Trevor Lawrence changing stuff up, but unfortunately did some stuff to kind of screw him out of coming back towards the end. But again, Tatum, any other thoughts?
Yeah, not too much on the game, and I don't want to get too soapboxy or anything on the show, but fucking glad Tyreek Hill is okay and everything seems to be working out. Let's calm down, people. Let's be more chill in situations like this. Just in general. Let's peel it back. Let's try to not be too much into positions of power and whatnot. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to get too soapboxy or anything. Just glad everyone is okay in that particular situation.
Yes. TMG Takes the Field is not a political show. Bingo boingo. The next game we're going to be talking about, if only Alec was here, the Texans traveling to Indianapolis, victorious 29-27 in a very close game. I will say I was wrong. Anthony Richardson did, in fact, finish the game. But CJ Stroud, fantastic game, 234 yards, 2 touchdowns. One of those going to his new toy in Stephon Diggs. But Stephon Diggs, not the most yards. Nico Collins had 117. I believe Diggs was in like the 60 range. So drama to ensue in a couple weeks. And then Joe Mixon, another new addition to the Texans, ran for 159 yards, 1 touchdown. The Texans are going to be scary this year. The Colts are going to be a lot better than I think we thought, especially if Richardson's able to stay healthy. He had a couple of really good plays and really a great stat line, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, 56 yards running, with a 3-yard run right at the end. Unfortunately, not able to get the ball back to try to make to win the game, but still really good performance by Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Colts will, of course, benefit from playing the Packers next week. That's a W that I do, or yeah, okay. Little spoiler alert for the future of the show. I'm giving them that W that I would not have otherwise. So, yeah, I do think the Colts should be pretty good. But yeah, the Texans are going to be an awesome team. I'm definitely curious to see. Without giving anything away on this one, the Bears cornerbacks versus the Texans receivers is definitely a banger of a matchup.
Yeah, that will definitely be fun. But we are done with the 1:00 games. We're now moving on to the 4:30 games. The first one we are talking about is a AFC West matchup. The Raiders taking on the Chargers. The Chargers won 22-10. There was a fight in this game. One thing I will say is I was not. You should know how much I like the Chargers based on my predictions at the beginning of the year, and the Chargers did not impress me. But that being said, I think this is a Chargers team that's going to win ugly games, and that's going to be all their games. I've never been super impressed with Justin Herbert. I just know he doesn't make mistakes a lot. And with the addition of J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, hopefully those knees don't implode on him. 135 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. That's a great pickup, especially since he hasn't been able to really do much in his career because he's been battling injuries. So hopefully he can stay healthy. And then I do think if that's the case, this is going to be a team that just runs it down your throats. Does never wins pretty, but a win's a win, right?
Absolutely. Like I mentioned, a win's definitely a win.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a guy who's high on her. Like I've always liked Justin Herbert. He's a solid guy in fantasy for his usual draft value, I find. And the powder blues are the sexiest jerseys in sports. Can't argue against them. Yeah. So I have a powder blue Herbert jersey myself. Because I think my Tomlinson was lost to my parents' drunken bullshit. Fuck that.
Yes. Two other performances I want to highlight. Ladd McConkey, probably the Chargers' #1 receiver as a rookie, was able to get into the end zone his first game. Only 39 yards, though. But I know he said at the end there were definitely some plays he should have had, and he just needs to be better. So looking forward to his year. And then Gardner Minshew, the miracle of Washington State, the moxie of Jacksonville, the reason the Colts had a chance last year. This guy is just a dog. He will get you wins you don't deserve. 257 yards, 1 touchdown and an interception. Like those stats for only getting 10 points. I don't know how that's possible because 257 yards, that's like a 3 touchdown game right there. But it's the Raiders. So
yep, there it is.
All right. The next game I want to talk about is the tale of two halves. The Broncos took on the Seahawks. This is one where we were different on. I picked the Broncos, you picked the Seahawks. And at the end of the first half, I was right. But unfortunately, football is two halves. At the end of the first half, Denver was up 13-9, but the Seahawks quickly turned that around. 21 or no, that's 17 unanswered points. Ended up getting the win 26-20. I will say I was pretty high on Bo Nix. I was a lot higher than I should have been, which is funny because in college, I couldn't stand the guy. I kept saying Bo Nix is trash. Bo Nix is trash. And then for some reason he gets in the NFL. I'm like, Bo Nix is the savior of Denver. Today, I changed that. Bo Nix is trash. Bo Nix sucks. Broncos are going 0-17 until they start Jarrett Stidham. Again, this was kind of a toilet bowl, though. We don't really have a lot of plans for either of these two teams. I'm sorry, Jay Burns. The Seahawks suck. They were just able to have one good quarter. But Tato, what thoughts do you have on this one?
Yeah, with the Bo Nix of it all, just too many rookie quarterbacks get selected early. And it's just because the franchises need to take those swings they feel. And it doesn't go well for them ever. And that's how organizations end up changing hands. But I've just seen so many Brock Osweilers and Christian Ponders and Blake Bortleses and just those
Blake
guys.
Blake Bortles led the Jaguars to the AFC Championship in 2017. Don't you dare slander that man's name. But he also shouldn't have been drafted third overall in that draft he got drafted in. He was a third-round quarterback at best.
Yep, and that's just the way she goes, and that's like, I don't wish any ill on those guys, but I think that's how Nix and Penix and JJ and those cats are gonna go. And like, I feel lucky that the Bears have Caleb, and I'm not saying it just because I'm the homer pick, but Caleb is obviously the safest pick since Andrew Luck. That's what the consensus kind of says, and I think Jaden Daniels has a good shot. I think Drake May has a solid shot at a career. But I think outside of those three, those first-round picks, they're going to have a rocky road ahead of them.
Yeah.
But no real particular, so Bo Nix being lumped into that group, I think it's going to be rough. Good luck to him, though. Yeah, good luck to everyone. I love everybody.
Yeah. All right. Next game. I do have a quick question for you, though. Tato, if I told you had to waste $240 million, you couldn't spend on anything good. You just had to waste it. Is there anything better than wasting it on Dak Prescott? Like, that has to be the biggest waste of $240 million, right?
Better than Daniel Jones or Deshaun Watson.
Not wrong there.
What have you?
But yes, at couple hours before the game started, word came out that the Dallas Cowboys did re-sign Dak Prescott, which means they have no money for Micah Parsons. So good job, Dallas. But the Dallas Cowboys traveled to Cleveland and won 33-17. One thing we talked about was this going to be a really good defensive game. And I will say that the Browns defense wasn't as good as I thought they would be. But I'm going to say it. I'm scared of the Dallas Cowboys, at least a little bit. They played very good. Ezekiel Elliott, what in the world? I thought he was washed up last year. He actually did play very well this game, but then you also have to remember, it's the Browns.
Yep, it's the Browns. That game in Dallas?
It was in Cleveland.
Okay, right. Yeah, Dallas. The Cowboys in Dallas are definitely super scary, and even on the road, obviously, they still get things done. Yeah, Cowboys are a good team, but it's the Cowboys, so it's gonna be. They'll get some good wins. They'll get a bunch of the obvious wins because that's what the Cowboys do. They beat the bad teams. And then it's gonna be we them boys season. And then they're going to make it into the playoffs and collapse in the first round because that's what the Cowboys do.
The Cowboys
they're a great team. We'll see what happens in around. They're going to make the playoffs. I'm almost certain of it. We'll see what happens when they get there.
Well, according to my predictions, they miss out on the playoffs because they implode at the end of the year, which is by all means very possible. Yeah, no, and I said it before, without Nick Chubb, I don't think the Browns have a chance. They did a little better than I thought they would. But that also goes to show Deshaun Watson is a horrible quarterback, is another thing we learned from this game. Next game, though, the last of the 4:00 window, the Commanders traveled to Tampa Bay. And if Sam Darnold looked good, Baker Mayfield looked elite. I do think Baker Mayfield, while not the best quarterback, is a very suitable quarterback. 289 yards, 4 touchdowns, it was getting to that point where I would look away from my phone for a couple of minutes and I'd look back, and I got an alert saying Baker Mayfield throws a touchdown to Mike Evans. That's basically how that game was going. But I will say Jaden Daniels didn't have a horrible game, didn't make a lot of mistakes. Threw for 184 yards, ran for 88 yards, scoring 2 touchdowns on the run. So definitely, I'm going to stand by what I've been saying, where I do think Jaden Daniels does have a really good career. It's just going to take a couple years to get there.
Yep, Jaden, one of those guys I think is going to have the career, and he did have a good showing. Shout out getting it done with the legs there, and had a better objective game than Caleb on this occasion. Obviously, though, I'm sure he would happily take the W over the stats, as any good player would. But yeah, shout out Jaden in his rookie debut. Looking good there, but as I mentioned, we both took the Bucks on this one. Just probably Baker, the veteran, gonna get it done there, and he did. And like you said, Baker is probably at this point the ultimate serviceable quarterback. I think he's the new kind of Kirk Cousins guy.
I was about to say he's the new Matt Stafford before Matt Stafford went to the Rams. With the Lions, like he'd play great. The team just around him was trash. But he did anything it took to get a win. A lot of times it didn't happen. But you could always count on Matt Stafford to give you a good game. Speaking of Matt Stafford, our Sunday night game, tying everything together. The Rams traveling to Detroit. We both picked the Lions. It was a nail biter. Our first overtime game. With that being said, the Lions came out victorious, scoring that touchdown in overtime to get the win. One thing I do want to say is if you can't stop the run, you have no chance against either of these teams. These teams definitely were smash mouth, run it down your throat, especially the Lions, which led to their touchdown at the end and their win. But I definitely think both of these teams are very talented. Both will make the playoffs. I think they both win their divisions. This was a very great way to end these Sunday night games. I can't say to end the week because we didn't end the week on this game. But Tato, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, one of these teams will almost certainly win their division. We will see about the other one. I think definitely a great game on both teams. That's how you get to overtime, evenly matched. But as I said, I think Monty is an underrated in Detroit's offense there. With Laporte is great, Amon-Ra is fantastic, obviously, and Jahmyr Gibbs is also a great running back. But Monty proving at the end there why he is still around, getting it done in overtime.
Yes. And while I was begging and pleading, give the ball to Amon-Ra, and they just they wouldn't do it. There's a reason why, and it's because the run was working successfully. And then again, tying it all together, talk about an effective run game. Monday night saw the Jets traveling to San Francisco. The over-under was Aaron Rodgers at 10 plays before re-tearing his Achilles. He lasted a little more than 10. Spoiler alert, he didn't finish the game. That's because he got benched. He did not get hurt on this one. But the 49ers, no Christian McCaffrey, does not matter. We're still going to run it down your throat with a guy who was undrafted. His last name is Mason. Jordan Mason, running for 147 yards, 1 touchdown. The 49ers end up winning 32-19. Jake Moody scored more field goals than the Steelers and Falcons combined. So talk about a soccer match. I say that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So almost as many as the Steelers and Falcons combined. Jake Moody, definitely the MVP of that game, outside of Jordan Mason. But again, we knew exactly what we were getting into with this game. That being said, this was another one we were different on. I picked the 49ers, Tato picking the Jets. And because of
Yeah,
that, I came out victorious.
yes, you did. I went Jets here against my better judgment, as I mentioned. I was like, this feels like the Niners, but like I kind of wanted to push the envelope a bit, and it didn't go. And hey, that's the way she goes. Sometimes you make that out there pick. Like if I would have picked the Patriots or something, it would have been nuts. And hey, I could have been eating all the waffles or whatever. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I would have been cool looking.
Yeah.
But pick the Jets. Thought Aaron Rodgers would be rear and ready to go, and it's not that he wasn't. It's just that the 49ers are really good at football.
Yeah. And I mean, definitely this being his first game in pretty much 2 years, there was definitely a little bit of rust on there. But no, I wrote down all of our predictions this morning while I was traveling for work, and I had to re-listen to you a couple of times because I'm like, wait, he picked the Jets, right? Did he pick the Jets? Because it was like your words were um, the 49ers are definitely going to win on paper. But I just something about Aaron Rodgers. And I'm like, okay, he picked the Jets.
I did.
Yeah. But that was week 1. Again, I was 13-3, missing out on the Bengals, Falcons, Broncos. Tato at 11-5, missing out on the Ravens, Bengals, Giants, Falcons, and Jets. But as we move on to week number 2, we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to go over the games. I have my pick. Tato says he has written down his picks. So we're going to kind of go back and forth on these. Starting off with Thursday night, the Bills are traveling to Miami and taking on the Dolphins in an AFC East matchup. I will start this one off. I think this is going to be a very fun game, but like I said earlier, the Bills defense is just a little too sus. And with this high-paced offense of the Dolphins, I think this will be a pretty decent scoring affair. I just think Josh Allen isn't as accurate as he should be and misses out on a couple. I think the Dolphins get the edge on this one.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to echo your sentiment there. I have the Dolphins here. It should be a relatively high scoring affair, high flying, hopefully. But yeah, I think the Dolphins are the slightly better team in the East, and I think the Bills are kind of just meh. And I still don't know any of their receivers except for Keon Coleman. I remember the rookie because of the coach.
Keon Coleman. Yeah. All right, our next game, the Raiders are going to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Both team 0-1. Both teams played very decent teams. But Tato, tell me, who are you picking and why?
I got the Ravens here. I think that one's a pretty clear favorite situation. Obviously, the Ravens are a really great football team. The Raiders are a slightly less great football team.
Yep, not wrong. Again, I'm gonna mirror you quite a bit on this one too. I think the Ravens in a kind of revenge game. This is their home opener. Too. Yep, this is their home opener. They have that sour taste in their mouth of we should have won. I do think that they take the Raiders to town. I don't think it's going to be close.
Yeah.
Next, we have the Browns at the Jaguars. I think this is going to be a crappy game. I love Doug Peterson, but I struggle with the Jags at times. Browns, again, not a great team. I do think it's going to be kind of defensive struggle. I think the Browns are going to do much better on defense, but something's telling me that the Jags are just do enough to get the win.
I also have the Jags on this one. I think Trevor Lawrence doesn't get it done over Deshaun Watson here, and I'm just like any chance I can take, like if it's up in the air, I think I'm just gonna say fuck the Browns, like for being the Browns, and just fuck Deshaun Watson. I'm gonna double down on that one.
All right, so Tato going with the Jaguars. Next, we have the Jets at the Titans. Tato, this one is your pick.
I have the Jets getting the bounce back here as well. Same, kind of similar to the Ravens, except they didn't have the close game to be like, oh, we were so close. But I think Aaron Rodgers, I'll double down on the Aaron Rodgers being pissed off. And this time also the Titans are a bad team, whereas last time they were playing a good team. So I think the Jets have much better odds of proving me right on this occasion. I will double down on them.
All right. So I do think this game is to be a lot closer than a lot of people think. Again, the Titans are a lot better than people are talking about, and Aaron Rodgers hasn't really played football in 2 years. So I definitely think that Aaron Rodgers is going to have a comeback win, and just have that final drive or 3 minutes left on the clock, whatever it is, but end up getting the lead right towards the end. I do think the Jets win, but barely. Next, we have the 49ers taking on the Vikings. If everybody thought Sam Darnold was going to be the MVP, get rid of those thoughts because Sam Darnold's trash. But the 49ers are going to travel to Minnesota. I believe no Christian McCaffrey again in this game, but it doesn't matter. I do think that whoever they have at running back, that offensive line is just too much, and the 49ers take down the Vikings.
Yep, that offensive line is monstrous. Jordan Mason obviously doesn't matter that he's an undrafted rookie. That's what the Niners do. They just pluck stars from obscurity. They're such a good homegrown organization. It is bananas. Yeah, I think the Niners definitely get it done here, especially with the Vikings getting a cheeky win that they're probably pretty content with. So they might slough off a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. All right. Next game, we have the Chargers going to Carolina, taking on the Panthers.
I've got Chargers on this one because, as we've discussed, the Panthers are dookie.
Yes. Is it too early to say that Bryce Young is a bust?
Yes.
Still too early to say that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm still going to say it. Bryce Young is a bust, unless that team can do some sort of quick rebuild.
We'll see what happens if he doesn't stay in Carolina and if he gets another shot elsewhere when he's 25, 26.
But I'm going to share the same sentiment. I do think the Chargers are just going to be too much. I think this one's not going to be close, even though I just said that the Chargers are going to win ugly games, keeping it close. It's the Panthers. Come on. Chargers win.
Yeah.
Next, we have the Seahawks traveling to New England. I was kind of torn on this one, but I'm giving it to the Seahawks, especially if Kenneth Walker can emulate this last game with his running attack. I think the Seahawks just have a little bit better of a defensive line that they're going to be able to stop Ramondre Stevenson. So give me the Seahawks.
Yep, I have Seahawks too, and I'm not loving that we're so in line, but obviously as the season progresses and the matches become a little less clear, I think we'll definitely start to differ more, but I do just Patriots super awesome. They did eke a win though, so maybe we might just eat shit saying they'll lose 3 games in a row and they'll keep getting W's. That does happen. That's how teams get good from time to time. So and it wasn't like it's not like the Bengals are a crap organization. We got to win over a good team. So shout out Patriots there. But I will keep the Seahawks love rolling for my secret tunnel teammate.
Yeah. Well, I definitely see us being different here pretty soon. Is it this game? I don't know. Tell me who you got. We have the Saints traveling to Dallas and taking on the Cowboys.
As I mentioned, the Cowboys are good at football, and they will beat the teams who are less good at football, which I think the Saints qualify for. We'll see if your Eagles fandom gets a little crazy on this one, though. I've got Cowboys.
If you know anything about me,
world.
if you know anything about me, you know I'm crazy. but not crazy enough to pick the Saints. That being said, I could see this being the game that the Cowboys are supposed to win that they don't. But that being said, there's just something about those fans in Arlington. Um, there's something about that stadium that the Cowboys just play good. Um, Maybe a little closer than people think. I like saying that, but I do think that the Cowboys are just going to be too much, and they're going to be victorious on this one. Next, we have the Giants going to Washington, taking the Commanders. Um, I think this is where Jaden Daniels gets his first win of the season. Again, just balling out against a trash defense. Um, Brian Burns will get 2 sacks on him though, so at least there'll be some fun pushing people on the ground, and then maybe some stadium collapse. I don't know. We'll see. But whatever it is, the Commanders I do think are going to win this one.
Yeah, Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence could make this interesting. The Giants do have some D linemen that could make it a thing. I had the Commanders getting it done just because Daniel Jones is Dookie. I think that's going to be the word of the week for bad. Dookie shoes. You know those memes where it's like build the best quarterback or build the worst quarterback? Fucking this guy's decision making, this guy's pocket presence. I saw one
It's
of
just
those.
Daniel Jones.
It's just Daniel Jones. It's just, once again, I'm sorry, Antonio, but you had a Manning brother, so deal with it. You got 2 rings in your lifetime. You can deal with some rough waters for a while.
And you beat the Patriots. You beat the Patriots on both of those. So, like, that's extra bragging rights right there. But we're still thinking the same. So let's see if we differ here. We have the Buccaneers traveling to Detroit, taking on the Lions. Tato, who do you have on this one?
I got the Lions here. We gave Baker credit for being staff. We'll see what he can do there. But yeah, I think the Lions continue to roll here. This is probably, I'm thinking, this is, like we said, this is the Lions year. They probably win like 13 games. Just in that style.
Yep. Jared Goff is phenomenal in domes. This is being played in Detroit. Guess what? The Lions play in a dome. So I definitely see. I do think this will be a fun and exciting game. But I do see the Lions being victorious on this one. Jesus, we're still the same. Let's see if it changes here. It's not going to, because you already said who you're going to pick. Colts at Packers. Jordan Love's expected to miss 3 to 6 weeks with a meniscus injury. Nothing is confirmed, but I am reading that they are expecting to start Malik Willis here. I had the Packers winning on my chart that I slaved over, but I am changing that. I do think the Colts win.
And that's the NFL season. We knew something was going to happen to change it instantly because that's the way she goes. And that's why we don't lock in our picks right at the beginning of the year. This one, like I said, would have had going to the Packers with a healthy Jordan Love. Without that, it tips to the Colts. And I think Anthony Richardson gets a chance to ball out a little.
Yeah. Could you imagine the payout on that parlay pick, though? Is like, I'm going to guess the outcome of every single game. Like, oh my goodness. A $1 bet would get you like a little over $1 million. It has to be. It has to be. And the ball's on someone to do that. I should have done that. I would have lost immediately, but it still would have been fun to do. Next, we have the start of the 4:00 games. The Rams are traveling to Arizona. Tato, who do you have?
I have the Rams in this one. Okay, yeah, we are on that other slide. Sorry. Rams, I think, get it done. This is one of the ones where I went against the spread. I was surprised to see the Cardinals have the spread. I realize it's at home, but it just kind of weirded me out with like the Cardinals haven't done much lately. The Rams, like their Rams are 8-2, the Cardinals are 2-8 in their last 10 games. I don't understand the spread at all. So if I were I will say if I were a betting state, because I'm a betting man at my core, but my state does not allow me to act on it, which I think is probably a
So
good
sad.
thing for me.
So sad.
Yeah. Probably saves me money in the long run, but
Yeah.
we'll see how she shakes out. I do have the Rams on this one.
I want to say the Cardinals with every fiber of my being. But unfortunately, earlier today, I typed the Rams on who I thought was going to win. Um, just like you were saying, I don't understand how the Cardinals are favorites. I really don't. Um, I definitely think the Rams are just going to be too much. Cardinals are going to be scary this year on just a couple of games. This isn't one of them. I have the Rams winning as well. Next we have the Steelers traveling to Denver to take on the Broncos. Guys, say it with me. Bo Nix is trash. I have the Steelers. Again, that defense is just going to be too much. Um, I don't think Boswell has as many field goals. I do think this offense is going to get at least one touchdown. The Broncos defense is not as good as the Falcons defense. So let's get one touchdown, guys. But then, yeah, that defense is just going to be too much for Knicks because the guy's trash. Broncos are winning this one. Or not the Broncos. The Steelers are winning this one.
There it is. I mean, it is Denver. It's a fantastic place to kick some balls, so we could see Boswell go off again. I got the Steelers getting this done. I think TJ Watt eats Bo Nix's lunch. It's going to be a rough shake in Denver for the home team. Steelers win.
All right. And then our last of the 4:30 games, we have the Bengals traveling to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Tato, who is your pick?
Yeah, it sucks for the Bengals that this is where they got to go after they were probably like circling 1-1 for the beginning of the season, and now they've got the worst possible hill to climb to get there. I think the Chiefs are just rolling out of control. I don't see them stopping anytime soon. Chiefs get it done.
I mean, I see them stopping soon, but not here. I do think this is a little bit of a bounce back game for the Bengals where they're going to play a lot better, but they're playing a much better team. And I think the Bengals are very much one of those teams where they play who they're playing against, or they play at the level of who they're playing against. I'm not going to say that they were looking past the Patriots, but it wouldn't surprise me. But that being said, I think if this was like a week 15, 16 game, this would be a much different story. But I do think the Chiefs are just going to be a little too much, and they do get the win. Sunday night game, we have the Bears traveling to Houston and taking on the Texans. Again, like I said, the Bears defense is kind of scary, but CJ Stroud is scarier. I'm going with the Texans.
All righty, we've got some action here. I am going also with the Texans. I lied. We don't have action here. I'm a bad person. I deceived you all. Yeah, though I will say the spread that I looked at is 7 points, and I will take the Bears +7 all fucking day if that is the bet that is being offered to me. I think in Houston the Texans get it done with the way, especially with the way the Bears played. I don't see them radically upshifting in 1 week with the offensive line being the way that it is. So I think the Texans defense has a pretty good shot against that offensive line, regardless of how good the receivers are and how good I think Caleb will show improvements, but I don't think it'll be enough to get it done, unfortunately. Hope I'm wrong, of course.
Yes. All right, well, Tato, this is our last chance. Are we going to have a difference? Are you going to try to build a little bit more ground on me, or are we going to have, or am I still going to be 3 games ahead of you? Monday Night Football. The Atlanta Falcons are traveling to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Tato, give it to me. Who do you pick winning?
Eagles. Unfortunately, but hey, like I said, I wrote all my picks down. I know you wrote your picks down, obviously, way in advance, so you do reserve the right to change any of them. And I haven't even seen your week's worth of play, so yep, Eagles. Unless you get crazy, maybe you'll pick the Falcons. Who knows? But I definitely think the Eagles are the better team, and it makes sense that we picked the games the same because I don't think there are a ton of close games in terms of pick 'em. I think there will be close scores, but less actual contested results. Obviously,
Yeah.
I don't think either of us are going to go perfect, so we'll see which games we picked wrong. But all right,
Yeah. We might go perfect. False. One of us is not going to go perfect because Monday Night Football. No, I'm picking the Eagles. If Cousins struggled against the Steelers at a 1 o'clock game, he's going to struggle against the Eagles on Monday Night Football. I don't know what it is about the man with prime time, but the Eagles are going to be too much. Zach Bond. Oh my goodness, that guy. Defensive MVP. Come on. This seems gonna be too much for him. Look for Jalen Carter to throw Kirk Cousins to the ground a couple times, and the very few Falcons fans that are gonna be there, we're gonna start hearing the chant, "Panics, panics, panics."
I think there's a better chant that they can do, but we'll see.
What's the better chant that you think they can do?
It just mispronounced his name slightly.
Oh, yeah, I get that. No, I am picking the Eagles as well in a very exciting week number 2. They say week 1, we don't know what we're getting. I'm just looking at a white screen.
There it is.
Yeah.
Picks on the board. It's just the way it shook out that time, man.
Look at this white screen.
Okay,
No, yeah, you can kind of see just
closer
a little bit.
is the key.
Yeah. Turn that brightness down too. Pretend like we've been here before, Jacob. There we go.
Yeah.
I made this spreadsheet earlier today, and I think I did these predictions like 2 hours ago. When you said you did your predictions, I'm like, I should go ahead and do mine, so I'm not just coming up with them on the spot. But no, I'm definitely looking forward to this week. Regardless, at the end of week 2, I will still be ahead at whatever number it is. So that's always exciting to look at too. Yes. Hey, got to do better in week 3, I guess. Watch, we go 0-6. We go 0-16 this week. Just every team we pick to win loses. Could happen. But no, definitely looking forward to this week. Looking forward to some exciting matchups. And looking forward. Football's back, guys. It's an exciting time. It's an exciting time. But for Tato, for everyone at TMG, thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, make smart choices, wash your hands, or don't. Not your dad. But it could be your papa.